very good afternoon to all the change makers out here. Who are you? Who amongst you are going through a career transition right now? Okay, very good. Maybe 20-30%. Right, so this is relevant to you. And if you're not going through a career transition, you might be going through soon. Right? Right, so may as well listen, okay? Right, so I'm sharing my story, right? So it's a bit different from a lot of other presentations so far because I'm actually talking about my personal life a little bit, a professional life. All right, so here it goes. Okay, from green uniform. This is me in green uniform. So 3.5 years ago, I retired from the Singapore Armed Forces. I spent 21 years, right, as a career military officer, right? And then some of the highlights of my career. Right, I'm quite fortunate or unfortunate to be involved in 3 very international crises, right? First, COVID-19, right? 2020, I was in the Ministry of Manpower, seconded there, right, to manage the migrant worker outbreak. That was like in April in 2020, if you remember. So when that happened, my boss asked me, James, can you go down, take a look, see whether they need help? After I went down, it's like no day, no night already, right, for the next 4 months, right? And 2017, I was in Iraq and Afghanistan as part of the counter ISIS operation. And then 2004, Indian Ocean tsunami. So you can say that I'm quite acquainted with crises, right? And then I was a strategic planner, right? We call it plans officer. So in the army, there are plans officer and there are operations officer. So plans officer generally look ahead, right? After we plan, we pass on the plan to the operations officer who then execute the plan. So we are, in a way, the brains, the ones who think, and the ones who can look ahead, right? And I was involved in the 3rd generation SAF, now fulfilled already. That was in 2005. We were projecting towards like, what kind of wars will we fight in 2020 and beyond? And therefore, how must the Singapore Armed Forces look like in order to fight the future war? But now it's 2025, right? Right. And then so before I left, I was involved in SAF 2040. Then we are talking about what kind of wars will we fight in 2040. So that's a very long-term planning, and we call it master planning. Right. I was also involved in training senior officials. Right. All of you probably heard before what is OCS, Officer Cadet School, right? But maybe a lot of people never heard of Command and Staff College. Right. So OCS trained the top 10% of all enlisted men. Right. And then Command and Staff College trained the top 35% of the top 10%. Right. To eventually become commanders, unit commanders, and also division level staff officers. Okay, so I was involved in that, and I also spent about 10 years in strategic communications in the joint staff as well as in the army. So these are some of the pictures. I can't put everything, but some of it. Okay, and I also led teams of between 9 to 500. 500 is a battalion. Okay, so battalion is like a smallest really fighting unit in the SAF. And then I ditched my green uniform for the green economy. So I always joke that I used to crawl and try to hide, stay camouflage in the jungle. And then now I'm trying to grow vegetable. Right. So in a way, my first job was to be a co-founder of V+ Agritech, which is a sustainable agritech startup. Right. So it has been around for 4 years, since 2021. Right. You can see some of it. So we are kind of in 16, 17 places right now over the past 3 years. So we are trying to use urban farming as a way of import substitution, encourage organizations and communities to grow their own food. Right, you can see this farm right behind here, as in behind 2 walls behind. Right, so this is one of our newest project for CDL. Right, and we are also in a lot of schools. Right, and we need to change the mindset of children. Teach them to love nature and love food, right? When they do that, right, then you have a chance, okay, because they're our tomorrow, okay? So I'm also an adjunct lecturer. My students, can you raise hands, please? Right, some of them are here. Very nice of you to come, okay? They're also looking for jobs, so please network with them. right? Some of them still have a job, some of them are in between jobs, but doesn't matter, okay? But all of them are passionate to change the world, okay? Right, and then, I already taught 10 batches. 10 batches meaning maybe about 200 to 250 to 300 students. And so far, I've seen them, like, at least one person in every sustainability event. So pretty good, right? And then, I'm also involved in speaking engagements like this. And lastly, I'm with the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy as a Futures Fellow, right? We conduct futures thinking workshops for public service officials at a very senior level. Senior means 3-star general, ambassador level. Okay, now that's my story. How do you prepare for transition? First of all, you must recognize that sustainability is values and purpose driven. If you think sustainability can make you a millionaire or billionaire, please go someplace else, because there are better ways to make money. Okay? So it's purpose and values driven. So because of that, you need to understand your own life purpose. When I was, I guess, 35, 36 years old, right, I was in Command and Staff College as a student. We have this module called life purpose. Then you will be wondering, why does a military officer need to understand his life purpose? Right, this boils down to this thing called personal mastery. Any of you heard of the term personal mastery? Right, very deep, and Singapore we say very chin. Okay, so under personal mastery, there's a few parts to it. Right, the most highest level is that today I ask you, what is your life purpose? You can tell me in one statement what is your life purpose. Any of you can do that? Probably not, because most people never thought about it. And it is the easiest and most difficult module that I had in Command and Staff College. Okay, so I wrote down my life purpose. Is in my iPhone right now, right? So rewind 3.5 years back, which was just nice 10 years after that time when I did my first life purpose in 2012. I took it out and asked myself, is this still relevant? The answer is yes. And that time I did a ikigai, which is a Japanese meaning for a reason for being, covers a few things. Okay, so it asks what you are good at, what you can be paid for, what the world needs, and what you love. Right. So I basically try to fill up this Venn diagram. Right. So what you are good at, which is everything military, nothing related to sustainability. What the world needs, climate action. What you love. Okay, I hope to contribute to climate action, but what can be paid for? Question mark. Okay, yeah. So these two are my gets. Okay, but it helps me to decide what to do later on. Okay, there are other ways to discover your life purpose. One, what will you regret on your deathbed? Ask yourself, write down 5 things that you will regret and then work backwards. Okay, and then next, there's this book called Halftime by Bob Buford. Okay, in a nutshell, he says your life is like a soccer match. Because all of us live long lives now, we can afford to have like 2 careers. Maybe first career up to like 35 to 45, next career until you die, whatever. Okay, so you notice in a soccer match, first half you can afford to make mistakes. Second half, you can't afford to make mistakes. So usually first half people focus on success. Second half, he said that you should focus on significance. What is success? Very self-centric. Trying to hit 1 million, trying to hit 1 billion, whatever. Elon Musk maybe trying to hit 1 trillion, whatever. Okay? So, but that will not give you satisfaction up to your old age. It's your second half. Right? You know the Maslow's hierarchy? Self-actualization. Some people find it in giving back, not necessarily making money. I believe in sustainability, it's about giving back. Okay? And then you decide the approach. How do you want to get there? Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to hold another corporate job, for instance? Right, mindset matters. Okay, I talk about self-awareness. So just now we talk about personal mastery, right? Personal mastery is about knowing your life purpose. But before you even get there are 2 layers. One is self-awareness, then the other one is self-management. All of us are 3 people. How you see yourself, how others see you, and how you think others see you. They can be vastly different. People with self-awareness like Donald Trump, with poor self-awareness, like Donald Trump, right, thinks he's the best in everything when he's best in nothing, right? So the thing is, if self-awareness is a mirror, you stand in front of a mirror, what you think you look like is not what you actually see in the mirror, something is really wrong. And the best way to get there is do a 360 feedback. Why is that important? It's because you may sell yourself short. Meaning you think you're so lousy in certain things, but everybody think you're great. Or maybe the other way around could happen. Okay? So next, become a T-shaped professional. T-shaped professional means that you have a lot of jack of all trades kind of competencies, but you have certain deep expertise as well. In this case, they're talking about this deep expertise in sustainability reporting. So this person has a lot of sustainability stuff, but also know how to do project management and have some soft skill, right? So for me, what are my lateral skills? I can speak, I can play the guitar, I can sing. Okay, not so interesting. Okay, then I can talk to high-level people, I can talk to the grunts on the ground also, right? And things like I have deep expertise in a few areas, like I can do strategic communications. By the way, I have a master's degree in it. I have 10 years of experience, right? So these are the things that I can do. Crisis management is also a deep expertise, for instance, right? And now I acquired a deep expertise in sustainability, right? Especially in the area of agriculture. Okay. Then you need to learn. There's this 70-20, sorry, cannot see, 70-20-10, right? Which this framework shows you basically that actually 70% of your learning is done on the job. 20% is informal sessions like this. And only 10% is in school. Okay? So become this T-shaped professional. But first of all, you must recognize what is your T-shape. What does it look like? Do first, be later. Very important. Barack Obama said this, not me, right? So he said that focus on what you want to do before what you want to be. And the good example is that if you want to save lives and you say that I want to be a doctor to save lives, then if I come back to you with the question, if you do not become a doctor, will you still save lives? Right? So everybody try to box themselves up. I want to be chief sustainability officer. Then I can save the world. What if you don't get to be chief sustainability officer? You mean you will stop saving the world? Right? Go the other way around. Do first. And after a while, you may get to become a chief sustainability officer. Okay? Next, adapt, unlearn, relearn. There's a lot of things you must unlearn from your previous organization. I was from the military, right? Initially, I dump everything aside. I say that corporate world is different now. Just go out and learn. Then I get disappointed, disillusioned. And after I take back everything that I dump. Okay? So the important thing is, don't lose yourself. Where you were before the last 10, 20 years makes up who you are. And the values that you have learned, especially the good ones, right? Don't throw them away because they are still relevant. Okay. Next, have a realistic time frame. I put here 3 years. Now I'm like in my 3.5 year mark, right? Still going through some changes. Okay. So be patient. Right. Last slide. Some tips. Sustainability is technical. Get educated. Today, there are master's degree programs in Singapore. Right? NTU, SMU, they have them. When I left 3.5 years back, no such thing. There's only advanced certificate in sustainability, whatever. Okay. So I went to a la carte. No set meal lah. You go restaurant, no set meal. Look for your a la carte choices, make it up, and then just get going. Right? Network a lot. Okay. Eric Sim popularized. It's not his idea of this thing called PIE. Anybody knows? P is performance, I is image, E is exposure. Right? So he attribute that your possibility of getting hired, only 10% comes from your performance. Right? Then the next 30% comes from your image and personal branding. And then your E is your exposure, which is networking. 60% comes from it. So your highest chance of getting employed in your next job is actually here. Talk to people, exchange connections. Okay? And many roles are there before they even get listed. For all you know is in the CEO's hits, I'm looking for someone to fill this job. Okay. And then go for internships. Okay. Today, many successful hires come from internships. And don't think that, internships are for fresh grad. I'm not fresh grad, I'm a senior vice president of a bank. You got to humble yourself. Right. Okay. Next, be active on LinkedIn. Today, somebody want to hire you, they look for your LinkedIn profile. If it's blank, good luck to you. You are just as, you don't have any advantage over the next person who just sent in their CV. Okay? And follow those that you admire. Don't know how to post? Follow the people that you admire. Right? And then when you follow them, you see them often enough, how they post, how they write about themselves. Then you say that, I can do that too. Then you just copy. Okay? Copying is the fastest way to learn. Okay? Reframe your CV. Don't write in terms that people don't understand. So when my first version of my LinkedIn CV, I tell you, terrible. Right? When people read it, they don't understand what I'm doing in the SAF. Right? Because we have a lot of army lingo. Okay? Trends. Okay, consulting, ESG says, quite well established in Singapore already. Right? Food transition, underrepresented. Of course, in Singapore, there's a lot of challenge. Okay? But generally across the world. Carbon markets, growing, gaining traction. A lot of new policies coming into place. Circular economy startups, much more of them right now. Anybody attended Switch? Switch. Some of you attended, some of you didn't. I think it's 2 weeks ago, right? Switch is a startup event. I see quite a number of circular economy startups. Philanthropy, a lot of focus the last 2 years, trying to get philanthropic capital into climate action. Okay, so these are growing areas. And then scaling mature tech now become the focus. Last time when you have all this startup incubation competition, they are looking at novel, deep tech. But I tell you, you deep tech until you 2050, cows come home already. Right? So they were looking at now mature tech that can scale. Okay, so even if it's solar, doesn't matter. If you can scale, right, then it is a possible plan. Right? So that's all I have right now. Happy to connect with you.